Hi, my name is Helena Youhana. I'm the Director of Growth at Topicals, which is a skincare brand, and I've been in DTC for about 7 years now, leading all things paid all the way down to retention and DTC for our company. So I'm moderating this panel and really excited to be talking to these very talented people.
Hey guys, I'm Ethan. I am the GM of Ecosystems at Yotpo. So I help oversee our subscription product. I've been at Yotpo for the past 7 years, overseeing our merchant success team, our shop invested partnership. Can you guys hear me? Is it cutting in and out? Yeah? No? Cool. Try to talk like this? No? I'll try that one. I like the blue one versus the red one, but we'll figure it out. I'm excited to talk about retention stuff today.
Hey, I'm Alissa Myers. I'm the Senior Manager of DTC Ecom at Supergoop. I've been in ecom for roughly a decade, everything from UX and CRO strategy to retention, marketing, and merchandising, and I'm really excited to share some thoughts with you guys.
Awesome. I think so, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Rohan. I'm at Gorgias. I lead our North American agency partnerships team. I've been at the company for almost 4.5 years now, so definitely excited to talk to you guys today from the CX lens.
All right, thank you guys. Excuse me because I have notes, but we're gonna get right into it. So the topic of this panel is about increasing customer lifetime value from a retention and CX perspective. So I wanna start broad and just get a sense of how each of you guys think about LTV from your unique perspectives. Specifically, what are the essential tactics you'd recommend leveraging to drive increased LTV? And anyone can start.
I can start from the brand side. For us, it's pretty simple, right? Just listening to our customer and what their needs are and meeting them there. So we approach this from a couple different perspectives, right? Like earlier this year, we did this really incredible user study where we got to really watch our users through their entire customer journey and see what's important to them, what they value, and where some of their sticking points were that were potentially barriers to entry for purchase. So that really helped to guide a lot of our site enhancements that we made over the last year. And of course, an easier and smoother experience on the site will increase their satisfaction and likelihood of return. Another thing that we've really been working on is how can we optimize our CX, both our agents, but also the tech that we work with to get ahead of some of those barriers and position them really as the experts that can help those customers with any of their needs throughout the shopping journey. Something else that we've also really been working on are, how can we help our customer build those healthy sunscreen habits, right? We work for Supergoop. If you're not familiar with Supergoop, we are a sunscreen brand that sells everything that you could possibly need for every skin type and routine, anything from makeup, skincare, or just everyday play. And so, obviously our peak season during the summer, everybody knows the value of sunscreen. But something that we really focus on is how do we keep customers engaged year-round, and how do we keep them coming back? Because we know the importance of sunscreen year-round, but how do we bring that education and those programs that are really important to them and really meaningful for them to the consumer? So, we've got our loyalty and our subscription programs, and we really focused on what's important to the consumer, what incentives do they need to be engaged in this program, and what's meaningful to them, whether it's discounts or rewards or convenience or flexibility. And so, of course, measuring the impact of that, following frequency by cohort, looking at churn, and really honing in on where customers are retaining within those programs and optimizing.
Makes a lot of sense. You mentioned subscription and loyalty, so I definitely want to hear from Ethan, and just in terms of, we'll talk deeper about specific tactics on Yotpo, but just in general, what do you think is really essential to think about, like if you're just launching new to a loyalty subscription program?
Yeah, I think every brand's different. I think there's not a one size fits all. You're gonna hear a lot of opinions about, hey, this is the Torah from Sinai, like you have to do this. It's not always the case. I think a lot of brands try to figure out what's right for them, and that yields the best success. For us at Yotpo, what we kind of lean in towards is segmentation. I think if you think about your LTV, you have to really understand who who's your customer and specifically what cohort are they in? Are they a high spender? Or are they a high spender who's been maybe hasn't purchased from you, maybe dormant? Are they a first-time buyer from you? Are they a referral? There's a lot of different parts of the technology journey that you're going to connect with, and understanding how to talk to them and that customized journey is what makes a difference. So again, there's LTV that matters, but if you're not focusing on what that journey is about, you're kind of playing in the dark and not really understanding that journey. So when you can use tools that connect with each other and really leverage synergies, that can ultimately kind of unlock the full retention experience for us.
Absolutely. And I know even from my perspective, I sit kind of closer to the brand side of marketing. And so obviously that data that allows you to segment is extremely important to know who these different customer personas are, but also just when you said the way you talk to them, not only what incentivizes them like an offer, but just the way you make them feel special. If they're like a high value customer through something like email design or like sending a plain text email from your CEO or founder, things like that, I feel like really exponentially increase engagement with communications.
And I think it's like some basic stuff, but when you do it right, it really makes a difference. Like if you talk to someone and say, hey, we know you purchased this sunscreen a couple months ago, what do you think about this? And you can look at people's 5-star reviews, people unfortunately might have 1-star reviews, and you can kind of connect those two together. It really kind of unlocks the full experience. So if it's loyalty, if it's subscriptions, if it's SMS, if it's email, if it's reviews, it's all super important across the spectrum from an LTV standpoint.
Absolutely. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about Black Friday. And as we were prepping for this panel, we had an interesting discussion with Alissa because obviously she works at Supergoop sunscreen brand, and she, is in a unique position where her business is not seasonally peaking in Q4. So I want to hear from Alissa on how she kind of plans BFCM with the perspective of a business who's peaking in Q2. So sort of how are you transitioning strategies from Q2 into Black Friday, Cyber Monday? And I'm also especially curious to know kind of what you've learned from previous BFCM cycles and what's kind of top of mind for you going into this year.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I overheard one of the panels earlier today speaking about BFCM and some of the challenges behind like when to offer something like different throughout BFCM, right? And should you have the same offer? Should you change your offer to give them a reason to come back? And it's been really interesting, and this is something that I think is probably relatable to everyone on the brand side in here, to watch the consumer behavior shift over the last few years with BFCM, right? Like I remember the days of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Small Business Saturday, right? Like specific days with specific, channels. And then we've seen it evolve over the years to Cyber Week, Cyber Deals, starting earlier, ending later, right? And so for us, it's been a really interesting experience to watch that consumer behavior, track it each year as it evolves and as the competitive landscape evolves, and really, experiment and try what works, whether it's the same offer or unique offers to come back. And kind of iterate from there each year. So that's kind of what we're looking at from a Black Friday perspective. As far as the seasonality of our business, like you mentioned, our peak season is summer, right? Everybody knows to wear sunscreen when you're outside, it's hot, the sun's beaming on you, but there are so many reasons why you should wear sunscreen year-round, right? So going into those off-peak seasons or those shoulder seasons, giving education, really educating our consumer on why that's important, and during peak, getting them engaged in some of those programs like loyalty, like subscriptions, and giving them reasons to come back during Q4 and reasons to stay in the program through those incentives is kind of the strategy that we start to pull into Q4 to keep them engaged year-round.
Great, and so I think that naturally parlays back to you, Ethan. I think like a lot of brands want to keep it pretty simple during BFCM with the offers, but I want to come back to that idea of segmentation and how to kind of layer in loyalty and subscription incentives over Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So I'd love to know, what strategies you tell brands to be sure to implement before Q4 or at least think about. But specifically, I want to hear some non-textbook recommendations about how brands can offer incentives that are less sort of discount heavy, that will still keep customers loyal during that period.
Yeah, there's a million different ways, as I mentioned before, that I think you can approach this. I think it comes down to knowing what your customers are looking for. So the first thing that I think is really important is if you haven't sent out like a quiz or a survey asking what your top customers are actually looking for, that's a mistake. I think it's really important to just say, hey, like what's interesting to you guys? Is it limited edition products? Is it access to products that are not available to general consumers? Like, what are those things that you want to play with? Man, I thought this one was gonna work. Guess not. It's just me, guys. Yeah. So I think those things are super important. From there, I think it's really important that you unlock a few things that are special about this Black Friday period. One that we're really seeing a lot of good success with is the concept around offering a discount for subscriptions, which is only available during Black Friday or Cyber Monday week or whatever. So if you can sign up for that subscription, if you're a sunscreen brand, if you're a supplement brand, if you're a CPG brand, you know you offer that subscription discount year round at 15 or 20%, maybe you make it 30%. And they tell the customers that if they churn going forward, they have to wait an entire new calendar year to get it back. So we've actually seen several brands utilize this strategy and see huge retention efforts because people really know they're going to buy the product, and this is their one big time to focus into it. I think you're also really focusing on surprise and delight. We have the opportunity to say, hey, for your second order, your third order, your fourth order, whatever it is, how do you give out certain gifts that kind of keep the customers coming back? So it's not just you buy from a subscription and it's very transactional where you get a commercial discount, but there's actual value being added to that program as well. You can do that to unlock certain limited edition products. You can do it to meet and greets, whatever you're looking for. So again, it all comes back to what is your customer looking for? What are you trying to really kind of get for them? And how do you kind of reverse engineer and gamify that experience?
Totally, and I think we should really look at the rest of the year as a way to test these things as well. So even with the surprise and delight offer, like how can we test that on a micro level going into Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Do they like to be surprised with like a special merch or, you know, a collateral item that is not saleable on the site or in-person experience? And how does that differ based on segments? And I just want to contribute something that's not Black Friday related, but I definitely see that at Topicals, our launches are huge retention moments as well as acquisition moments, which is quite unique because all of our products kind of serve a different purpose. They don't necessarily all serve the same audience, but we do leverage like our loyalty segments to make them a retention moment by offering something special. So we always offer early access at launches, which you can also do around Black Friday, just by using like the data that you have on these customers to segment them out and target them early. And for early access, we often offer something special, whether it be like the first X amount of customers get the PR kit that we're sending out to influencers instead of just the product, because the product will be inside of it, or a free gift or whatever. It really drives like urgency around, not only do you know you have early access, but you know, early access sometimes doesn't mean much if you don't think that the product is going to sell out. So adding some sort of urgency offer, and then again, using your loyalty segments and VIP customer segments to really target customers during these high touch point moments, I think is crucial. Okay, and then Rohan, I haven't heard much from you, but I would love to know sort of how you think brands can leverage CX as a retention lever during Black Friday, and also just talking about some of Gorgias's tactics specifically, since I know that they do a lot to offload a lot of heavy labor from brands during this period.
We sure do. From the CX perspective, I think at all times, but particularly around high volume ticket times like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, customers are going to value, two things really importantly, is personalization and timeliness, right? And that's where, from the Gorgias perspective, automation and AI really come into play. Is how are brands utilizing automation and AI today in 2024 to deflect the right number of tickets and actually focus their human, labor hours on CX tickets that are coming through that actually require their attention, right? And that allows for a couple of different things through these high volume periods. It allows through automation for customers to get timely answers themselves, if they need to track their orders, if they need to go through a flow to find the right product recommendation, et cetera. Or from the human focus side is like, how can you be a little bit more strategic on your agent side with those customers? Maybe you're a little bit more proactive with them And just giving them that positive experience from either side is going to help them to establish really, really good loyalty to your brand because they appreciate that experience. And naturally, that's going to either A, acquire them as a new customer, or B, keep them coming back for more just based on the experience they had with you. So what are those automation pieces that you can put in place? And generally speaking, on our side at Gorgias, with a lot of brands that we work with, we can automate anywhere between 30 and 60% of customer support inquiries that do come through. So anything with respect to order status, or what are my products made out of, or do you ship here? Those are all things that you shouldn't be handling manually as a brand on the CX side. And if you can get answers to customers in a timely fashion, but still retain that personalization aspect of it, it's going to lead to that CLTV and retention as well.
Love it. I think that with Gorgias specifically, we see, and I'm curious, Alissa, to hear your perspective on this, but we see a lot of success with like customizing the chat box per sort of product or collection page. And I'm actually curious, this was not a prepped question, but I'm curious to hear if there's anything specific and special that you would do for that going into like a high touch point period, like a launch or a promotion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, every business is different, but for our business, we know that during a product launch where there might be some questions about the product, about the ingredients, about shade matching, that's an area where we have really leveraged our CX team as those like shopping professionals that can help you and guide you throughout your shopping journey. Another thing that we really do is ramp up that CX presence and those proactive prompts during sale periods on pages that we know are high converters, and use them as an assist in that conversion.
All right, I would love to add to that as well, too. First of all, Supergoop and Topicals are really good examples of live chat and customization around live chat on their pages to capture customers in real time. But to the browsing component around looking at different pages, adding different items to cart, there's also an opportunity through Gorgias to run proactive chat campaigns to capture customers based on what product they might be looking at, how long they spend on a page, how much or which items they have in their cart, to be able to upsell and cross-sell them to help increase that average order value. And you're going to be making recommendations that are sound for them. If they hit a specific number of parameters, then that campaign is going to run to them and people like them specifically, and it's going to give that super personalized feel to them. So they feel like you appreciate what they're doing on your website and you're lending to their experience. And Topicals and Supergoop are good examples of utilizing live chat appropriately.
Thanks. Well, I think we're coming up on time, so I want to open it to the floor to ask any questions you might have. Now. All right. Well, if there are no questions, feel free to come up to any of us after this panel, and we'd be happy to answer. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.